3 or 4 weeks of like true training camp. 15-hour days. You wake up at 6 a.m. You're in the facility early. You got meetings, walkthrough meetings.
NFL quarterback, astronaut, Super Bowl, or getting to the moon. What's your dream? Welcome to the BATTARIX POWERCAST, where we feature powerful stories from the front lines of life. I'm Sam Wexler, your co-host, founder of BATTARIX, world's smallest smartphone backup battery. I'm joined today with Avi Fogel. Next to me, my henchman. Today we're joined by Joshua Dobbs, better known as the Astronaut, football quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, astronaut, and founder of the Extraordinary Dobbs Foundation. Joshua, how are you today?
I'm good, my man. How are you doing? I love that henchman. That has a good ring to it.
That's me. Well, that's what he is. You don't say he's more than a henchman,
Hopefully
but we're
it's a
going
good
to leave at that. He's been nice to let me into his backyard cabin here in the deep woods of Maryland.
That's right.
I'm here
That's where
for
we do it. That's where we make the magic happen.
You
Oh, that's
here for
awesome.
A few days. Yeah, we can. There's a room up top, where we can have people stay for a while. So in case you're in town,
Also, if
you
you really need to like lock in and get something done, that's the spot to go.
That's correct.
You got to see what's going on outside. There's a putting green. We got a pool. We got everything. But
Oh wow.
We have a
Okay,
lot
you guys got the whole setup.
Yeah, you gotta take appropriate breaks throughout the day and make sure you clear your head and get ready for the next segment.
And what's better than going outside and missing some putts to do that?
Exactly. How'd you know?
I do it myself. That's how I know.
Yeah, man.
That's why he's the henchman, because when I miss them, I make him go get them.
That's right.
Makes sense.
I have to
Anyway.
pick up the trash balls.
Anyway, Josh,
Dynamic
how are you?
duo.
So, 49er quarterback.
49ers, yes. New team.
How's
I'm
it-
doing
how's-
well.
how's- So walk me through this, because to me, just to learn, 8th grade math in my head, I can't do that. You're like on your third, fourth team now in the last few years, to learn the nuances of every, on offense. Sometimes I go to a game and I just hear them calling out the signals. I say, how do they remember them? Like audibles and things. Walk me through how you get that in your head to know what to do at what time.
So it's a process for sure. Like each team has its own offense that they run, their own system and scheme that they're kind of trying to execute. There's a ton of crossover between each team, especially now because they call it a copycat league. So a lot of successful plays that occur that one team is running, another team will just take them and try to duplicate that same process. Now, they might not have the same like coaching points and everything, but they're still trying to play the same game of football. So that helps when you go from team to team in similar schemes to be able to quickly adjust and get down a new offense. But I mean, it's still a process. And so it's really good when I have a situation like this year where I signed to a team back in April. Back in March, start practice in April, and now I'm able to go through the entire offseason program and then play in the same offense that year that I started in at the beginning of this offseason. So when you're able to do that, that's good because you're able to build camaraderie with your teammates, with your receivers, understand the playbook, understand why you're calling plays. It's harder, obviously, if you're just thrown in there. It's like, hey, just like kind of figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's still football, and so as a quarterback, man, like the only thing you can do is like get a play, go through your same process each time, and then go out and execute the play and move on to the next one. So having that repetitive process allows me to be able to be successful, whether I've been in a system for 5 years or been in a system for 5 days.
Right, but the verbiage is always different, right? I mean, just the
verbiage different.
You got to memorize, different plays, different signals, different.
Correct. It's like sometimes it's like if you have been taking Spanish all year in high school and you show up and you got to take a French test. It's like the verbiage is completely different. There might be a couple words that you're like, I think they may cross over. And then obviously usually they mean completely different things in each language. So yeah, it's still a process, but thankfully I've been like with some really good coaches, and in those stints where I've had a quick turnaround, I've had some good people around me to help get me up to speed as quickly as possible. There's teammates or coaches or assistants around me, and that has always helped. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Like one word in one system will mean something completely different in the other system, and you just got to be able to turn your brain off from whatever system you're in and now reacclimate it to a new offense, new language, basically.
Right. Like I always wondered when we play football in the backyard, we always say hut hike. Like they don't say hike. Right?
We don't say hike. What do we say?
Hut.
We say hut. We say hut. We say hut. No hike. Hike is too.
No hike. Like, where did that hike come in? Where do we get that?
I don't
hike,
know. It's too hard to say with the mouthpiece in. You know, you're trying to
Yeah.
scream it, hike, and hut just kind of rolls off the tongue.
It sort of gives it all away to the defense that the ball's coming. But so
Yeah.
the 49ers, are they hungry this year? How hungry are they after coming off of last year's loss in the Super Bowl?
Very
Can
hungry.
you feel it?
It's a
Can you feel it?
You
when
can
get
feel
there?
it, yeah. I mean, you can definitely feel it. I've never been that close personally, but to be around a team that obviously is coming off that long of a playoff run, where you've had a really dominant year, quite frankly, and you come a play short of winning it all, man. Like, the hunger is there. It's weird, though, because when you go to the Super Bowl, you basically play 6 more weeks of a season. So instead of, if you don't go to the playoffs, you end the first week of January. If you go to the Super Bowl, you end the third week of February, right? So that's a significant amount of time, of practice, of running, more mileage on your body. So the recovery time takes longer for guys to get back reconditioned, to get ready for the next season, whether they're recovering for injuries, bumps or bruises, or just the mental fatigue that you go through throughout the season. So the guys are hungry. But the off season is a great opportunity for the new guys to really get entrenched into that culture, get up to speed, get to know the teammates and everything. And then that hunger really is going to come out once we get back for camp. So we report on the 23rd, and that's when we'll hit the ground running and get ready for the season.
So let me ask you, blindside hit. How much does it hurt?
Yeah. Look how blindside hit, man. The blindside is the worst. Like, you always want to see it coming. If you don't see it coming, it's miserable, quite frankly, because like you're breathing, and then boom, if you get hit and then they knocks the breath out of you. Worst case scenario, obviously you lose the football because you didn't see it coming. Blindside hits are not ideal. Like, you want to keep your head on a swivel. I try to never take a blindside hit. I say never, but obviously it's football. You're going to take some. But whenever you take them, man, those are the worst.
Right. I mean, I grew up in New York, with LT. That was
Yeah.
his life. Every Sunday you just sit down saying, who's he going to murder today, right? You had that famous NFL video. God, I want to get the snot out of his nose, right?
Yep.
That's just, that.
It's a different world now, though.
I'm old.
I'm
I
just
grew up
glad they
with
can't
Mike
hit us.
Singletary.
Oh, so y'all grew up with some legends.
Singletary
Yeah.
was great. I met him a couple times. He was intense. He wrote a great book on business, too. And from what you're telling me, it sounds like a lot of what you do is a metaphor for business also. The repetitive
For sure.
process, the system.
I mean, that's everything, right? Like, you guys know, like, if you want to be successful in anything, you got to have a process, a repeatable process that you can do every single day. As you're saying, you got to have your putting green and go outside and miss some putts to get your mind off things. But when you're locked in, you want to be locked in and trying to figure out ways you get better, ways you can improve your craft, ways you can kind of focus on yourself and grow and figure out how to improve the people around you. And, if you do that consistently, you'll usually be sitting in a good spot.
Right. So, as I said, we're looking at, you had Astro, and obviously you're an NFL quarterback, successful at that, but the other part of your life is the astronaut part.
Yeah.
So maybe talk us through that, how you got into that, like.
For sure. So I've always loved
anything now.
Yeah, so I've always loved aviation. That's kind of where it started. Like, growing up, I always wanted to – I was a kid that just liked to go to airport just to see what planes were flying around, watch them take off and land. So that's where my fascination began. I went down to Kennedy Space Center when I was 7, and that's when, like, the space side, I kind of got interested in that. Astronauts, they had the shuttles. They had 4 shuttles taken off every single year. Learning the history was very unique to me. And then from there, man, I was just good at math and science. And when I was trying to figure out what to go to school and study, my parents, they weren't big sports people, so they're never like, hey, like, you're going to go to the NFL. No, they were like, hey, you're going to college for something you want to study that you can make a career out of. So make sure you pick something that you like to do and something that has a tangible skill set that you can use in the real world. So they always wanted me to be a lawyer, but I didn't really like reading or writing papers. So once I kind of discovered that, I was like, I don't think being a lawyer will be my speed. But I like math and science, love, problem solving, critical thinking. And so when I wanted to figure out a major that was good for me, aerospace engineering was right up my alley. Now, obviously, it was the hardest major I think you could possibly take, especially playing football, which I didn't know how much I was biting off when I made that decision. But I wouldn't change it at all. And so since then, man, I've been able to spend time with Pratt & Whitney, spend time with NASA several times at Kennedy Space Center and working with the Razor Group that's building a lunar rover to go to the moon. And then now I do through my foundation, we do a lot of STEM engagement and programming for the youth to get them opportunities with NASA, see launches, go to the Rocket Center, and various trips such as that, as well as I'm working on my pilot's license. So that's how I stay in it and around it. But I love it. It's a cool industry. Obviously, we all know the strides that commercial companies are making in commercial space. I love flying. It's a blast. And so, yeah, that's how I stay around it. And it's really cool to kind of see the dream I had as a kid, 7, 8, 9 years old, really kind of now be able to live it while I'm also playing football at the same time.
Right. I mean, my kids are all into the rocket ships and, Starlink and
Yeah.
Elon Musk shooting up his rockets. Every time there's a launch, they go out of my backyard and they tell me they see it. I don't know how they see it in Jersey, but they tell me they see it. So don't argue with your kids, right?
Don't argue
There
it.
it
They
is.
see it. What if they see it? Yeah, you're 100% right. It's right there. It's
Yeah,
right
you
there.
guys,
Never
they
argue
get back
it.
in the house. I'm going. That's it. But let me ask
Exactly.
you. So, NFL quarterback, astronaut, Super Bowl, or getting to the moon? What's your dream?
Man, Super Bowl first for sure. Super Bowl first. I mean, they're saying it. I mean, people are going to space at 50, 60 years old. So you got nothing but time there. It's
All right, so you can-
hard to get to the Super Bowl at 50, 60 years old unless obviously you're coaching or something. So, no, it'll be great to get to a bowl, man, and just feel like I've had several people that I played with at Tennessee. Juwan Jennings, who could have been the Super Bowl MVP. If the 49ers had won last year. Trey Smith, who's been on the Chiefs and has won a couple, I've had several teammates and friends that have won it and I've gone, man, they say it's a remarkable experience. So Super Bowl is
Yeah,
definitely
just as
first
a
on the
fan.
list.
Just as a fan, when the Giants, thank God they've won something in my lifetime. But whenever they win, it's something else. Just getting. We haven't been too good lately, but that's what it is.
I will say y'all have a tremendous fan base because we played the Giants obviously when I was in Arizona last year.
Yeah.
And those games in Arizona, and it felt like it was an away game for us with how many people travel from
Yeah, but
New
let me
York
tell you
all the way to
something. When
Arizona.
When they play in New York, though, there's no one there. I don't know
That's
why.
crazy.
I was there
Why?
for 2 games last year. There was no one there. I don't know.
That makes no
Because who wants-
sense.
It makes no sense. Yeah, it's crazy. The stadium's empty and quiet.
They just wanted to go to the warm weather out in the AZ. That must have been what it
That's
was.
it. They all live there
Yeah.
They
now.
went to play golf, and also catch the game.
It's a lot cheaper to buy a ticket
Exactly.
in Arizona than in New York.
That is true. It's a lot easier to get to the game too.
Yeah. So okay, so what? Yeah, I guess you're starting training camp soon. You're heading out with San Francisco.
Yeah, so we head out to San Francisco on the 23rd. So how it works is usually just depending on when your first preseason game is, you report probably about 2 weeks before the first preseason game. So we report the 23rd. I think our first preseason game is around August 5th or 6th. Somewhere in there we play in Nashville. So you have about 3 or 4 weeks of like true training camp where it's 15-hour days. You wake up at 6 a.m. You're in the facility early. You got meetings, walkthrough, meetings, lunch, meetings, practice, more meetings, go to sleep, repeat process. And then you get a day off a week, I believe, or 2 days off a week, or a day off every 4 days. I think it's kind of the rotation. And then once the first preseason game hits, you slowly start adjusting to an in-season schedule where, in-season Monday is kind of a rest recovery day, meeting day. Tuesday's the off day around the league. Wednesday and Thursdays are your 2 longer days. Friday is like a review and put some final touches day. Saturday is a light meeting and walkthrough day, and then Sunday you play and repeat process. So after the first couple of preseason games, you get more acclimated to that schedule, and that's the schedule until hopefully, ideally, the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean, not like it used to be. Now they negotiated a good deal, the NFLPA, but it used to be 2 a days. I remember in 110 degree heat in New York.
Used to be
Now
wild.
they give you guys off like a half a day, 2 hours out and without pads. I've been at
Right.
training camp. I see what goes on.
Yeah.
They got the fan
It's a different world
experience,
now.
the footballs, the signing autographs.
Yeah.
Nothing going. It used to be guys
You
were
got the
dropping.
kids running around. Yeah, it's a whole
running
different
around.
world.
They got the carnival. So
The
just
carnival.
before we end off, talk about BATTARIX and the golf tournament, because my son, my son, the astronaut, he wouldn't let you go without this question. The moon landing, was that
Okay.
staged?
No,
Was that
not
staged?
at all.
He's convinced the whole thing was in a
He's
movie
convinced?
studio.
What's
He's
his
convinced.
reasoning? What's his reasoning?
He said, "There's no way in 1969 they can broadcast that live, to television as it was happening." He said, "There's no way they can't even do that today. It takes with all the
They do
Wi-Fi
it.
and all the technology. In '69 they didn't even have a telephone that didn't have a cord on it.
So I get this question a ton in the locker room. It's probably like the most popular question. But
By
like
the way,
you
the
gotta.
Earth is round.
You said what?
The Earth is round. I know that.
Those
Earth
are,
is round.
okay, cool.
Earth
We
is
can
round.
establish that. We ain't got to debate that way.
Not
Perfect.
going there.
We're on the same page. I love that. So like with the moon landing, obviously we had the space race against the Soviet Union. Everyone knows about that, right? And like the whole goal was, all right, like, let's get to the moon because we're racing for something tangible that we can all get to, right? So once you got there, the whole point was, all right, if we want to like send people to the moon, we can't send people to the moon and we don't know what like the effects of living in space for a prolonged time are on the human body, on plants, on survivability, on science, and all this stuff. So then it was like, all right, let's build like the space station where we can like study humans in space, study stuff on Earth in space, study elements, develop medicine, do all these things to then go back to the moon where we can actually try to live on the moon, build a civilization there to go to Mars. So obviously that takes a prolonged period of time to build a 100-yard space station in space when you only can shoot a rocket out 4 times a year. So right, it took 90 space shuttle launches up there as well as some Soviet launches to build the space station, and then a lot of other launches after there to put astronauts in space, study them, and now once they entered the shuttle in 2011, it took 9 years for the United States to build its own new version of a shuttle. And SpaceX, and obviously the Boeing capsule that's kind of stuck up there right now, but another vehicle that can go to space and take astronauts to space and also be reusable to cut down costs. So it took a lot of like innovation to get to the point that we are, which obviously leads to the skepticism of, did we even go to the moon? It happened 60 years ago, 70 years ago, which is fair to say. Right, but there's a reasoning behind it. I think once you understand, and that's what was cool for me going down to Kennedy Space Center as a kid, with it piquing my interest to be able to actually like learn and see the history around the space program, as well as my NASA externships as well, to understand the history, understand the why, and to kind of put things into more perspective. And now it's been cool to be able to answer this question, like, hey, this was the reasoning, and this is what they're trying to do. Now this is the next step. Because, they got a plan. Obviously, they're a government agency. So, if you got a new president every 4 or 8 years, right, like the whole process and the whole policies and just the political nature of our country, like it changes whatever the space program is doing. So that also kind of not dampers things, but makes it different than what commercial companies can do. And that's why it's been so great to see SpaceX and Boeing and Blue Origin, all these commercial companies come on because they really have changed the industry.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna put a check in the real box. Okay, I'm gonna tell him that. He got one phone. It happened.
We'll make sure he tunes into that answer right there. So you know.
Right. He's convinced the moon is a gas, and there's no way they landed that thing on there. But that's a different story for a different time.
We love him, but there was a moon landing.
There was a moon landing. Okay. So let's get into BATTARIX a little bit. So we created the cool power bank for your golf tournament, which as I heard was a great success.
It was. I appreciate that.
How BATTARIX, how you saw it how it can be used, on a golf course and just in your daily life, and its great uses. Obviously, it's a patented product. It's not just a fly-by-night, and it's a unique product. We're trying to get it to get, with the hurricanes and the storms and the just instability of the world today. Everyone should have one in the pocket, we believe. So,
100%.
If you can.
So I want to give a quick. For sure, I want to give a quick shout out to you guys and thank you for supporting the golf tournament, and all of our golf attendees love the BATTARIX packs. Shoot, I have mine on my phone for.
BATTARIX.com. Tell them to order. BATTARIX.com.
And make sure you can order on BATTARIX.com. It's really easy. You just stick it on the back of your phone, and you have a rechargeable battery right there. It was great. It's great for me because I'm on my phone all day. And so when I go to the golf course after training and after studying for flight school and everything, I always forget to charge my phone. And so on the golf course, I love playing music, and it's really hard to play music if your phone isn't charged. So being able to easily charge my phone while I'm on the course and also listen to music, I thought it was a great touch. I loved it. I used it for that exact reason at the golf tournament, and then turned around the next day, and we had the spring game. And obviously, when you go to a football game, you're outside the car. You're not close to any outlets all day. So be able to let my phone battery drain all day, then be standing on the sideline at the game, plug in the BATTARIX battery pack, and allow it to charge back up and have my phone for the rest of the day. It was super convenient. So I really loved it. I know all of our golf Attendees loved it as well, and we appreciate the support for BatterX for the event this year.
And I got to get you a box for training camp, just to bring it into the locker room, show the guys.
100%.
Let's get them affiliated. We'd love to.
Let's
love
do
to
it.
get that done. Again, it gives you that 2 to 3 hours of time. It'll bridge the gap, until you're at a more stable place. But it gives you time when you need to get the emails, you need to get your music, you need to get whatever you need. So that is what it is. If anyone else wants a branded BatterX, be in touch with us.
I thought that was a great touch. Yeah, the branded piece on it, putting the golf tournament logo on it was really cool for us. Just have something very unique for each attendee. So they really loved it, and I think it's really cool, like seeing the idea come to life. And so hearing you guys talk about it briefly earlier on the call, but hey, like you go to work on something, you have a process, you have a vision of how you want to see it come to life, and to see your guys' vision coming to life, and however I can help, man, it's an honor. I appreciate the support from your guys'.
It's an entrepreneur's life, right? It's not always easy, but when we get help, especially guys like you who understand it, and it's for a good cause, right? It's for a nonprofit,
100%.
to your organization. We can support it. That's what we try to do here. We give, we like to get, but we love to give as well. So anyone out there, who we can help out also, be in touch with us. I'd love to get you that, the box before training camp. We'll be in touch with that. And if you come in East Coast, I don't know what the schedule is. If you come in East Coast this year, love to hook up with you.
The cabin's always open.
Cabin's always open.
The cabin's always open. I gotta go practice some
I know
putts.
you're playing the Ravens. It's either Ravens, Eagles, Jets, or Giants. I don't know if you're coming this way, but those are the easiest places to meet you. And
So, no, I'm not sure, but me and my friends always do like a New York off-season trip. So if we don't come out this way for the season, we'll definitely have to link up next off-season. I'd love to shake your guys' hand.
Awesome.
I appreciate it, and tell you guys thank you.
Looking forward. Thanks for all your support.
And again, so thank you, Josh, for your time. It's been a pleasure. Whenever we got a guy like you, great to connect. You got a great story. Continue. Good luck. Get to that Super Bowl. Unless
Appreciate
you're
you.
playing the Giants.
We'll have to see him in the NFC Championship.
For some reason, I'm not putting money on that. I'm not putting money on that this year.
Just in case. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. So you never know. So everyone, just remember, get your BattarX backup battery. Go to battarix.com. Make sure to subscribe. Watch our podcast. See more that's going to come. Everyone have a great day. Have a great summer. Josh, we'll meet you soon. Be well, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys soon.